Lagos Talks
91.3.
News.
President Muhammadu Buhari has approved the establishment of a Presidential Transition Council for facilitating and managing the 2023 transition program. A statement by Willie Bassi, Director of Information, Office of the Secretary to the Government of the Federation, said members of the committee include Secretary to the Government of the Federation as chairman, Head of the Civil Service of the Federation, Solicitor General of the Federation, and Permanent Secretary of the Federal Ministry of Justice, among many others. According to a statement, the Transition Council will be inaugurated by the Secretary to the Government of the Federation on Tuesday, February 14, 2023. Also, the President signed the Executive Order numbered 14 of 2023 on the facilitation and management of the presidential transitions, a legal framework which would enable a seamless transition of power from one presidential administration to another. The federal government has commenced the deployment of security agencies to filling stations across the country to enforce the use of point-of-sale POS machines and the acceptance of bank transfers at the various outlets. It said the move became vital following reports that some filling stations were rejecting POS machines and bank transfers from customers despite the severe cash crunch currently going on nationwide. The government had disclosed this yesterday through its Nigerian Midstream and Downstream Petroleum Regulatory Authority in a statement issued in Abuja by the agency's General Manager, Corporate Communications and Stakeholders Management, Kimchi Apollo. The NMDPRA said it would work with law enforcement agencies to enforce the use at retail outlets, stressing that oil marketers who flout the directive would be dealt with. The Minister of Health, Dr. Osaike Hanire, has said it is important for the coming administration to invest heavily in the primary healthcare system, as 60% of all ailments, according to real estimates, can be handled at primary care level. Dr. Hanire, who made the disclosure yesterday in Abuja, said a shift away from PHC is seen more to be the reason progress is not made due to lack of adequate attention and investment.
And along with doing that, we are beginning to recognize that we inevitably need to strengthen our health system. The journey to that is long, is tedious, and our dedication to it will always be, and especially from our traditional fathers, advocates, especially also again to the incoming administration. That in a matter of months, we are going to have an incoming administration. It is important that the focus of that administration does not shift away from health, and that does not especially shift away from primary health care.
In his remarks, the Executive Director and Chief Executive Officer of the National Primary Healthcare Development Agency, Dr. Faisal Shuaib, said the country needs to look beyond reducing the numbers of circulating vaccine-derived poliovirus type 2 by over 90% to get down to zero.
One thing that is clear is that we are making progress, but the progress that we need to make in this year is particularly important because while reducing the numbers of circulating variant polioviruses by over 90%, we have to get down to zero. The target for 2023 is not further reduction, but getting it to zero. And we know that if there's anywhere that message resonates, it will have to be in this room because you as the people can make it happen.
The National Population Commission's chairman, Nasiru Isa Kwara, has disclosed that census will hold in Sambisa Forest. Kwara, who announced this at the inauguration of the Population and Housing National Census Publicity Committee in Abuja, said despite the security challenges, the commission would ensure people in the area are counted. He, however, added that the need for advocacy, publicity and public enlightenment cannot be overemphasized. The federal government, through the National Universities Commission, the NUC, has ordered the closure of universities across the country to enable students to participate in the 2023 general elections. The NUC, in a letter addressed to vice-chancellors of all universities and directors of inter-university centers, said a directive was issued by the Minister of Education, Adamu. Varsities are directed to shut down and suspend academic activities on February 22 and on March 14 for students to actively participate in the polls. The INEC had in January presented a register containing 93,469,008 voters for the 2023 general elections. The Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, has asked members and supporters of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, to highlight the achievements of the present administration as a means of campaigning for the party to remain in power. Speaking yesterday at the official launching of the Eko Nibaje 10,000 foot soldiers for the APC in Lagos, Fashola said governance requires a lot of experience and Lagos State cannot be allowed to be experimented with.
I did that job for 8 years, and part of what helped me was that I was chief of staff to a governor. I saw it up close, but even then, that wasn't enough. So just following a governor, being a cameraman, and then watching me for 8 years, you think you will now be a governor? You are not ready.
Speaking earlier, the Lagos Governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu applauded the initiative while calling on the foot soldiers to work closely with other members of the party.
All of us have shown the commitment that when we work together, we can achieve a lot together. When we work together, we can achieve a lot together. And that's why I want to thank our Honorable Minister and all the teams that are working with him to also bring about this stakeholder engagement.
The Assistant Secretary of State for African Affairs at the U.S. Consulate General, Lagos, Molly Fees, has said that the United States of America is seeking to encourage a free, fair and peaceful general elections in the country. Fees made the remark in Lagos at a program designed to promote youth involvement in democratic process in Nigeria. She believes that the youth population, which forms the chunk of Nigeria's population, should have the capacity to decide who governs the country and how the country should be governed.
The United States will be an observer to the elections. That means that we and other partners in the world who are friends of Nigeria will be on the ground to support a credible, free and fair election process that takes place peacefully.
A panelist at the event, Olamilekan Agbilashe, popularly known as Lekan, decried the systemic, money-centric politics which had over the years reduced the Nigerian youth to a mere voter, calling on the youth population to support politicians who have the strength, agility and knowledge to lead the nation in youthful direction for real change.
So these people want to come and use money to buy your vote. So the best way they can do that is get you to need money. And the best way they are using to get you to need money is make everything difficult for you. So it's a plan. I'm still talking about the system that isn't allowing everything work. It's been well thought out by them. But now you are young, you can outthink.
Other panelists comprising Ayomako and Kafi also called on youths to use their PVCs to bring about the needed change desired by the Nigerian youth.
We need a mindvolution, we need a revolution, a rapid revolution of the youth's power and energy. So please, mommy, daddy, uncles at home, if your child is talking about democracy, don't tell them to shut up. What do they know? They know enough to suffer with you. Now it's that suffer, you don't do.
And the youth, for the first time, are going to champion this cause and make a decision that will benefit us collectively as a nation.
The World Health Organization, WHO, says Malawi is going through its worst ever outbreak of cholera. It has killed more than 1,200 people over the last year. All but 2 of the country's 29 districts are now affected. There have been 2 large vaccination campaigns, but due to limited supplies, people have been offered just 1 oral dose instead of the recommended 2. The UN health body said efforts were underway to improve sanitation and access to clean water with house-to-house chlorination in affected areas. More than 20,000 people are now known to have been killed in Monday's earthquakes in Turkey and Syria. Turkey's president called the quake the disaster of the century. Though the United Nations warns the disaster's full extent is still unclear, rescuers are still searching rubble for survivors, but hopes are fading almost 100 hours since the tremor struck. In business news this morning, the Nigeria Communications Commission, the NCC, says over 100 million subscribers identity module, SIM, has seized head of financing and stakeholders engagement at this year's Africa Next on Thursday in Lagos. Shola Ogunshola said that through the Nigeria Telecommunications indigenous content of the NCC, the country could serve as manufacturer of SIM in West Africa. According to her, over 100 million of SIMs have been ordered by various telecommunications companies, putting an end to the importation of SIM and an attainment of a fully digital economy in Nigeria. Nigerian sprinter Divine Oduduru has been suspended from competition indefinitely by the Athletics Integrity Unit (AIU) for 2 anti-doping violations. The 26-year-old Oduduru has been charged with possession and/or use or attempted use of multiple prohibited substances. The AIU said it is seeking to impose a 6-year ban on Oduduru as a result. Oduduru's provisional suspension comes a year after his teammate Blessing Okagbare was banned for 11 years for doping in the lead-up to the Tokyo Olympics. Flying Eagles head coach Ladan Bosso has released the list of 25 players that will leave the country yesterday to Morocco, where the team will finalize preparations for the 2023 Under-20 Africa Cup of Nations. The Under-20 African Flying Eagles have been camping in Abuja, but will continue preparations in Morocco ahead of the 2023 Under-20 Nations Cup in Egypt. While in Morocco, Nigeria will play 2 friendly games before the Ladan Bosso-led technical crew announces the final list for the Egypt 2023 Under-20 AFCON. And that's it on the World News this morning. But